Never let them see you sweat unless you're in a sauna. This week, with both general population nutritional clients that I work with and athletes alike, we're all doing a 7-day challenge about everything sauna. Right now, in the doldrums of the winter, it's a great time to do this. But also for my athletes, I want to get all the logistics taken care of with sauna work, because as we get closer to our big events in this summer, we definitely have, and I've always run heat training protocols, heat adaptation protocols for my athletes. But sauna for everybody, for all human beings, is a great low hanging fruit that we can just get a lot of benefit from. And sitting in the sauna, that sounds pretty easy, and it is easy. So today we'll talk about some physiology. We'll talk about protocols. First, let's talk about Colombia. So I got up here on the screen. This past January, I had a fantastic trip to Colombia, and on the bike, rode 250 miles, got about 30,000 feet of elevation climbing. And a lot of that was at altitude, which is pretty cool. So our base is pretty much around 6,000 feet. We'll dip down to 4,000 feet. We'll go as high as 8,000 feet. And you think of the city Denver, that's about 5,000 feet. And 7,000 feet is when you really do start to notice the difference. Temperature is fantastic. It's summer in Colombia, but it was in the 70s and 80s. It only ever rains at night, so it's very magical in that respect. So it was just beautiful all day, every day, and it's that way year in and year out. So reach out if you're interested in Colombia. So now, sauna. So basically, you jump in the sauna, what's the first thing to happen? You're gonna sweat. And so what is sweat? So basically you have this stimulus, then you have the activation of the sweat glands, then you have the production of sweat, then that sweat evaporates, and then you have the heat dissipation through that. And then through all of this sweating, we have the regulation of body temperature. Now, in terms of the physiology, what actually happens, okay? And so, in human physiology, we have vasoconstriction and vasodilation. So, vasoconstriction is when the arteries clamp down, vasodilation is when they open up. So, when you get in that sauna, those veins are, the arteries and veins as well, to somewhat degree, but the arteries are going to open up. One of the things that happens is that you get extra plasma production through all this process, through going through a protocol, through doing it, for week after week. And that plasma is a crucial transporter through the human body. Just everything, like gases, like all these amazing things that you need. Plasma is great for that. And so you're actually going to increase your a key transportation device through all this. Once again, you get that heat tolerance. So, when we're thinking about training for our events, the athletes that I work with, again, we will be doing heat training protocols. I do it every year. And sauna work is always suggested for the athletes that I work with. Stress reduction, anti-stress pathways. And so there's a lot of things. And so basically when you're in the sauna, you're doing sauna mimics a zone 2 type of work, a moderate exercise type of work. So your heart rate should rise when you're in there. Say your resting heart rate is in the 50s, your, daily heart rate as you're walking around at your office is in the 70s. When you get into that sauna, it's going to go up to 110 or 120. That's what we want. That's one of the big benefits. It does introduce stress on the cardiovascular system and the body, which then kicks in all the anti-stress pathways. It kicks in heat shock proteins, and then your body, through this stress and then backing off, right, becomes more resistant to stress in your daily life. It's the same thing, if you're lifting weights, right? You start off with a low weight, you tear down your muscles, give a couple days to recover, come back, your muscles hopefully, if you do everything correctly, they build back stronger. And so that's what we're doing with this. We're introducing this stress in a fun, passive way to, make you a better human being, to give you longevity, right? And so when I think of sauna, I always do think of it in two ways. I think of it that every human being should do it for that longevity, but I also think of every human, athletes really need to do it to give themselves that little extra cardiovascular push. But then also, as I've mentioned many times, for that heat acclimation, which is going to be crucial in the summer. I know every year, I bring my FTP all the way up in the spring, and then in June when that heat kicks in, my FTP just goes down and down and down. And every year I fight it. I do heat acclimation training protocols. I do all of it, but yet it still goes down. Heat really affects me, so I'm going to be jumping into the sauna. Now, logistics for the sauna, that's one of the reasons I really want to get this on everybody's plate, because it can be a logistical problem. A lot of gyms have saunas. You can buy a sauna on Amazon.com if you want, like a little, either a kit, like a full-blown $2,500 kit, or a $100 tent. And so get these logistics figured out. So if you can't do the 7-day challenge this week, then I want you to move it to another part of your training plan or your time with me. I really want you to figure this out, nail those logistics, and get this particular challenge done. All right, so a couple other things that we have. Sweat gland adaptation. I've mentioned that before. We want to, as I work with people, I'm always trying to develop them in any way that I can for my general population, nutrition clients, or my athletes. I want to develop them, right? And so we're thinking my athletes, I'm developing their quads, of course. We're developing their metabolic fat efficiency. We're, developing through breathing techniques and through breathing exercises. We're working with their respiratory efficiency. And so, sweat gland efficiency. We want those sweat glands to be as efficient as possible to help you get the biggest performance bump that you can ever possibly imagine with having big, strong sweat glands. Improve fat oxidation. So this was a great one. In the research, I saw some really nice things that I never really thought about it on this level before, that when you do go into this stressor of the sauna, your body will primarily rely on fatty acid oxidation, your fat metabolism, and it will become more reliant upon that rather than burning carbs and sugars. And so I thought that was pretty cool. And then improve sleep. So again, we have this vasodilation process. You can take your blood pressure before going into the sauna and after you get into the sauna. And so if everything's working correctly and your body's behaving correctly, even though your cardiovascular system rise, in about 30 minutes after this, your blood pressure should actually be lowered. All right. So let's jump in and talk about some protocols. For me this week, it's just 5 to 20 minutes. I want you in there. Let's get used to it. There are actually a lot of different sauna protocols, like get into the sauna at this temperature for 5 minutes, then get out for, there are a lot of different protocols for sauna to sort of achieve different things within the human body. But for this, we just want to stress that cardiovascular system. For this protocol is all about mimicking low aerobic exercises. So 5 to 20 minutes, if you can get in there 3 days a week, if you can get in 4, 5, 6, 7, that's awesome. You want to make sure you hydrate throughout. And then, go with a companion and seek doctor's advice. So if you're on any kind of hypertension medication, if you have like chronic high blood pressure, if there's anything else going on with you, you definitely want to take a companion. You want to just go in for a few minutes, 5 minutes, see how you're doing. But yeah, you really want to take it seriously, especially if you're on any kind of hypertension medication whatsoever. Make sure that you always consult with a doctor. All right, this week it's all things sauna. Hey, hope that helps. Thanks, everybody.